Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. We hope that, if you've been joining us all day today for our Children's Grief Awareness Day activities, we hope that you're enjoying all the various activities that we've been offering. If this is your first activity that you've been able to tune into, then you've chosen a special one. We have with us Dr. Edith Eva Eger, and I'll give her a longer introduction in just a moment. I want to introduce myself. My name is Terese LaVallee. I'm the director of the Highmark Caring Place. And with me is Krista, and she's also one of the managers of the Highmark Caring Place. And we are just honored and humbled, honestly, to be joined today by Dr. Edith Eva Eger. Dr. Eger is a survivor of the Holocaust. She endured unimaginable grief and loss as a teenager at the hands of the Nazis, and she is a true beacon of hope and inspiration to all of us. Dr. Eger is a renowned author, speaker, and lecturer, and she's written 2 books that we would highly recommend. I'm going to show them, and I'll show them again at the end. The Choice, Embrace the Impossible, and The Gift, 12 Lessons to Save Your Life. Highly recommend her 2 books. Dr. Eger has a clinical practice in La Jolla, California, and she holds a faculty appointment at the University of California, San Diego. She's appeared on numerous television shows, including CNN and The Oprah Winfrey Show. And she was the primary subject of a Holocaust documentary that appeared on Dutch national television. After all she's been through, Dr. Eger is a clinical psychologist who has dedicated herself to helping survivors of trauma and spreading with them her powerful message of healing and personal growth. Dr. Eger, thank you so much for joining us today on Children's Grief Awareness Day. We're going to get into having you talk about your experiences during the Holocaust, but before we even get there, let's start with, can you tell us a little bit about your family? Tell us your mom, your dad, your 2 sisters. Tell us their names and tell us what life was like before the Holocaust.
Well, my parents had 2 beautiful daughters, Magda and Magdalena, she likes to be called sometimes. She was the pretty one. And my sister Clara, who was a child prodigy in violin. And then my parents decided that it's time to have a son. And guess what happened? They got me. And what I am here all about, that we all have a story, but I'm not my story. I am going to tell you that what I say, I lived. And that was in 1944 when we had a wonderful Passover dinner, and my father got up and kissed every one of us, and we went to sleep, and a couple hours later there was a banging on our door, and we were picked up and taken to the factory that was in my town, and from there I went to the train station and I arrived in Auschwitz, and that was May 1944. I think that it's important to tell you that my sister Clara was accepted at the music conservatory, and she was already in the camp where her Christian professor put on some uniform and smuggled her out until the end of the war. I was a keynote speaker in New Zealand in 1985 with Prime Minister Lange, and that was a wonderful time to thank the people who risked their life to save others. So that's why you and I are here and looking at the young people, knowing that they are going through some grieving, and grieving has to be something that you realize that what comes out of your body doesn't make you ill. So if you are listening to me, I like you to really learn that what comes out of your body, crying, is very good for you. And I hope that you can cry and cry and cry until you can't cry anymore. And I think God has given us the tools, and it's up to us how we're going to go through the journey of grieving, feeling, and healing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm just so struck by what you're sharing. It fits so perfectly into our theme for Children's Grief Awareness Day this year. Our theme is "It's okay to not be okay." And we're hoping with that theme that children are empowered to do just what you're saying, that they are empowered to feel their feelings. They are empowered to cry when they need to cry, to show those emotions, whether they're big, strong emotions, whether they're considered good or bad emotions. And so I'm just wondering if you could talk to us a little bit more about that, why it's so important to feel your feelings.
I was told that emotion is what it's all about. It's a feeling, and it's okay to feel the feelings. And I think this is what we're doing today. The word is permission. To give ourselves permission to sit down and say, I have a feeling. I am sad. I am angry. I have anxiety. And I'm going to pay attention what I pay attention to, because what you think, you create. And I know that it's very important to go through the valley of the shadow of death, but not to get stuck in there. And that is very important, that we acknowledge the feeling and we decide how long we're going to hold on to that feeling. I don't live in the past. There is one thing I cannot change, is the past. And I think it's very important for me to talk to the young people and let you know that suffering will make you stronger. I guarantee you that you'll be able to look at everything as an opportunity to discover that your life strength comes within you. And don't allow other people really to define who you are. You're beautiful just the way you are. God doesn't make junk. Young people tell me that. I'm learning from you, and I'm here, Grandma, to let you know that I am happy, very happy today that I live in the present. And that is wonderful that you have this children's grief, that they can feel the feelings rather than talk about the feeling. You know, talk is okay, but I think love is not what you feel, it's what you do. And what you're doing is you commit yourself to someone other than yourself. In a concentration camp, if you were just for the me, you did not make it. All we had was each other then, and all we have. And thank you very much for interrupting me and letting me know what you would like, because I don't read your mind. I don't know, but it's very good to give and take and tolerating differences. That is what we're doing today. We're celebrating that each of us will never be replaced by anyone else. There'll never be another you. And that's very exciting, don't you think? It's a very exciting thought.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
It's extremely exciting, and we are trying to help. And thank you so much for your message to help young people understand that it is okay to not be okay, and it's it's important to feel those feelings, and it's important to talk about them. And I know in reading your book, you had said that for a while it was hard for you to talk about what happened to you. Can you talk about that a little bit, about what made it hard? Because even though we want to talk sometimes, it's just sometimes we don't have the words for it, or it's hard. What made it hard for you?
I think it was very, very difficult for me to lecture in a class on the subject of family battering. And I was listening, and then the professor asked, "How many of you heard of Auschwitz?" And there were just a few hands going up. And that was the day when I decided that if I'm not going to do it, who will? And I will do anything, everything, to know that my parents didn't die in vain, that I'm here today, and I'm also given the opportunity to go to school and to be able to get a doctorate. And this is what I'm hoping young people will do. Stay in school, because the longer you stay in school, more doors open up for you. So I hope that you may be bored in school and you want to just run out. But that's why I tell people, don't call me shrink, call me stretch. So I am hoping to stretch today your comfort zone, that you will go to the library, that you will be able to be part of the human beings who are in a process of becoming, but not in a state of being. You have yet to arrive. And that's why it's good that I'm telling you at the age of 94 that the best is yet to be. I am climbing a mountain. I'm slipping and climbing. But you know what? I never stop climbing. I am still in a process. So I am so happy that you are heading this wonderful, wonderful bunch of people who are committed, not just to the me, but to form a human family, that I can be I and you can be you, but together we're going to be much stronger, much, much stronger. So I'm very happy to get up early in the morning and getting ready for you to hopefully serve you and serve your needs.
Well, thank you so much for that. We are just so happy to have you joining us. And, a piece of what you just said, Dr. Eger, that sticks out to me is you said that when you raised your hand, when you saw those very few hands raised in your class, and you said that you realized that you wanted to speak up because you didn't want your parents to have died in vain. It sounds like you have lived a life of honoring your parents' legacy. And one of the pieces from your book that stuck out to me is that you said that your mom always told you, no one can take away from you what you put in your own mind. And I'm just wondering if you can speak a little bit to that and how those words of wisdom from your mom helped you through your trauma.
I don't think my mother was smart. I think my mother was wise. And I hope to be wise too. But this is what she told me in the cattle car. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what's going to happen. Just remember, no one can take away from you what you put in your mind. So that's why I am where I am now, that I was able to look at the guards, and even though I was told I'm never gonna get out of here alive, I really ended up praying, hoping, and never ever giving up. And that's why I want to be sure that I'm a good role model to young people. Even if you feel like giving up, just remember, you're gonna do what's humanly possible and then hand it over. Then hand it over. There is something bigger than me. There is something different than me. Maybe when you go home today, try something new, something what you have not done before. How about if you do your homework before you go and watch TV? Or how about if you just do something not better, but differently? I think that might be a good idea. I don't know if you want to read a different kind of books that you read before. I don't know if you'd like to call someone and tell them you would like to get to know them, because the best four-letter word in the English language starts with an R. Can you think what would that be? R. I'll make it easy on you. The next one is I. R-I.
I'm still stumped.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
You risk, you see.
Oh, risk.
Risk. Okay.
If I come to
Got
you
us
and,
there.
when you risk, you're taking a risk that someone is not going to give you what you would like to have. But that doesn't mean you were rejected. I just like you to know that rejection is an English word that people make up to express a feeling when you don't get what you want. So get rid of that word. And I'm still ahead of the game because now I know where I stand with this person. Who said that I should get what I want and when I want it and how I want it? But no rejection, no such thing. So I hope that my talk this morning will help you not to go back, but to have a new beginning. Because hopefully, the more you depend on other people, the more depressed you become. It's very good for you to hope to be a grown-up and be a good mommy to you, because the only one you will have for a lifetime is you. All other relationship will end. So Katie and I say that many times a day, that what you think you create.
Dr. Eger, that's such a powerful message, what you think you create. And, you talk about that, I think, in various ways throughout your book. And in one of the passages you said, in terms of creating your thinking, you said you can focus on what you've lost, or you can focus on what you have left, right?
Exactly.
And then you tied that to a story with your sister Magdala and her hair. Can you tell that story?
Sure, honey. We were completely shaven, and here we are. My sister looks at me and asks me the question, how do I look? So picture me looking at my sister the way she looks in her nakedness. And then, with God's help, I said to Magda, you have beautiful eyes, and I didn't see it when you had your hair all over the place. So it's what you focus on, you create. And even today, she remembers that I told her that she had beautiful eyes. And she does, and I didn't lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
She's 100 years old, and she'll tell you she's 99. I don't know why 1 year can make such a difference. But for many, many years, every time I visited my sister, I asked her, how old am I? Because I'm supposed to be the youngest one in the family. So I would adjust my age. But thank God, I don't lie about my age. the older I get, the wiser I become. And for me to talk to you is a gift of God, that I can tell you that you can be so useful, especially younger children who need you very much to maybe help with the homework, to be able to see that you're working and loving and playing and find a good balance in your life and not to procrastinate. I tell you, when you procrastinate, it's when you are a perfectionist, when you want to do everything just right, which means never, because we're humans and we make mistakes. So it's okay, honey, if you don't make A pluses all the time. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be you and feel the feelings rather than talking about the feeling, but to be able to just give yourself permission and let your body talk to you, let your heart talk to you, and not try to understand everything. The word understand belongs to a classroom somewhere. So it's better to say what now rather than why me. And I think we are all victims of victims in some way, matter.
Thank you for that, Dr. Eger. And I really appreciate that you're giving children permission to feel their feelings and giving that permission to really take care of yourself. And, you said that you often ask, you encourage people to ask what now instead of why me. And my question for you is, sometimes what we hear from kids who are grieving is that they feel maybe stuck in the why me, and they're not quite sure how to get beyond that and how to get to the what now or what next. What advice would you give to a grieving child who feels stuck where they are?
I think it's very good to legitimize your feelings, your wonderful curiosity will be very important. What's going to happen next? What is most important, that you listen to your self-talk, because what you think you will create. And get rid of two words, always and never. I'm always doing this. I'm never gonna find a good person to marry. Get rid of those two words because they are absolutistic words. And instead you say, up till now I did this, and now I'm gonna do something else. You see, it's very good, like in a car, you switch gears and then you let go of the clutch. And I think that is very important, to risk and try something new and do something not better, but differently. I do that all the time.
So getting unstuck, you're saying that doing something different or just some kind of movement, do something to help yourself get unstuck. That's really good advice, I think, for any of us, kids or adults. Dr. Eger, I know that what you've been through is unimaginable, honestly. And it just brought devastation to your family. But you've talked about being able to forgive those who brought that devastation. And I know that's a really hard concept that many of us really struggle with when somebody we love died under many different circumstances, or have gone through very difficult things. Can you talk about forgiveness and how you were able to get there?
I lived in Texas, and one day I got a call from Washington to go back to Germany and give a keynote address in Berchtesgaden. And I began to write and reply that I'm really not able to go back to Europe. I have personal issues. And my late husband watched me and said, if you don't go back to Germany, that means then Hitler won the war. So guess who won? I was on my way to go and arriving and in a place called Berchtesgaden, and I went to the cathedral, and it showed how the cathedral was totally bombed out in 1945, and now the way it looks. And I began to identify myself with that church. And after that, I went to the hotel. I was told I'm going to sleep in Goering's bed or Goebbels' there. I don't know, one of those with a G. And the man at the desk was an old man. And he said, thank you, Mrs. Eger. You must be waiting for Dr. Eger. And I agreed with him. I was not going to ever disappoint him that I'm the doctor. And so he saw me the next day introduced as a keynote speaker. But you see, sometimes we assume many, many things. So when you ask me about forgiveness, one of the words that forgiveness is totally misunderstood. It's not about me forgiving you for what you did to me. I don't have any godly power at all. I see forgiveness to liberate myself, because revenge will give me satisfaction, but it's very, very short-lived. So I think forgiveness is a gift. I consider it a gift that I don't carry the Nazis anymore and find that Nazi in me and let go and begin the kind of a life that gives me more strength to be able to forgive. That means that if I would live with hate and revenge, I would still be a prisoner. See, it's what you think you create. And that is very important for young people, because when you're angry, you either vent it, you blame somebody, you did this to me and that's that to me. That's very, very important to know what anger is. It's not a primary emotion. There's a lot of frustration underneath the anger. I guarantee you there is a lot of anxiety. People tell me I have an anxiety attack. I don't think there is such a thing. But I know that you can think anxiously. That I know. And if you change your thinking, you'll see how you're changing your behavior as well. So I ask people two things. Think about your thinking and pay attention what you're paying attention to. Any behavior you pay attention to, you reinforce that. So forgiveness to me is the most important change that I did myself. But I know that when I went to my sister and I told her I'm going back to Auschwitz because I can't do that in the therapist's office. I want to go back to the lion's den and look at that lion in the face and reclaim my innocence. And she told me I'm an idiot. So then didn't get me anywhere. And I did go back to Auschwitz, and that's how I created my theory. Working and see how you can hopefully move towards forgiveness. So when I had a beautiful woman coming to see me, and she was wearing a big cross, I mean, really big cross. And I studied with Carl Rogers and others how to really people can be provided an atmosphere that they can feel any feelings without the fear of being judged. And so I went on like that. And she finally said to me, I'm so happy that I finally found a good Christian woman like you. Okay. I
So
didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because Jesus was a Jewish boy. And so I did not, I just decided not to say anything. But then she started to get angrier and angrier. What he did to me, and he had an affair, and I don't know if I can ever forgive him. And I very quietly asked her to listen to me, and she became very angry at me and said, "What?" And I said, "Would you be so kind and say, I forgive myself for putting judgment on my husband?" And she wanted to kill me, the beautiful Christian woman. And then I bring down the big guns. What did Jesus say to the woman who committed adultery? He told her to go home and don't do that anymore. So you see, when it comes to forgiveness, give yourself a gift and have a new beginning. And I know that I wanted to die when I was liberated because my parents did not come back. I was told that my boyfriend was killed a day before liberation, and I was very suicidal. And thank God I'm here today to be able to be for life. And life is very difficult. There is no guarantee. There is no certainty. There is probability that today you may decide that tomorrow you may come in the side door instead of the front door, or just something that you do differently, not better or worse, because the best thing you can do is really love yourself. Again, I repeat, self-love is self-care. It's not narcissistic. Katie girl who runs everything here she is. I want you to look at her hair. I want you to look at her hair.
I think they saw it on.
I don't know if, did you see her, Kat?
oh,
That's wonderful. I love it.
Look at that. Look at that. Just for fun,
love it.
she's pink. She's pink and she's pink. I don't know how long she's gonna be pink, but we're having fun. We're having fun. Just for fun doing something different. And I hope you can too. But love is not what you feel, it's what you do. So I don't know if you're married or not, but it's very good for daddy to be a good role model to the children, how he treats the children's mother, you. Okay? So don't ask, how are you? That's the stupidest things you can do. If your husband comes home, you say, geez, good to see you. I missed you, rather than, how are you? How was your day? Are you hungry? What do you want for dinner? Social noises. I think it's very important for you not to ask, how are you? And not to say, why don't you? Because we mothers ask questions and then give advice. The worst advice is advice, And I think it's very, very important to have a family meeting and have 2 jars in one with a smile and one with a frown. And when you don't feel very well, just write it down, get it out of your head, shake it out. Shake it out like a mop and put it in a jar. And then you take it out, maybe Sunday morning, I don't know.
Dr. Eger, that's a terrific activity to give to the families and the kids who are listening today. You've given us just so many words of wisdom and so many little gems. You know, what I'm going to take away from today is, you know, pay attention to your thinking. You know, your thinking is really, really important to how you end up feeling. And, you know, when no matter what you're feeling, it's okay. And I love the image of the jars, because you've got good, you know, the smile feelings and the frown feelings, and both are important, right? You don't have just one jar or the other. We feel it all. So what a wonderful way to, what a wonderful activity to give to our families to do together. And, you know, you did say in your book, I'm going to read one of your quotes. You said, each one of us can be a mirror of hope to somebody else. And, you know, thank you today for giving all of your wisdom. Like you said, your mother was not smart. She was wise. I think you're both. And you have just given us so much today. And thank you for being a mirror of hope to everybody who's listening.
I like to give you two questions. Mm-hmm. And the first one is, when did your childhood end? Mm. Because many children never have a childhood. They have to take care of, my mother's mother died when she was 9 years old. She had to take care of her siblings. She would talk to the picture of my mother every day. The second question is a little more complicated. Would you like to be married to you?
That's a very thought-provoking question, for sure. Very thought-provoking question. Dr. Eger, thank you for your time.
A lot to think about today, that's for sure, Dr. Eger. Thank you for that.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for all your wisdom. I'm going to remind everybody of your books, The Choice, Embrace the Possible, and The Gift, 12 Lessons to Save Your Life. Highly recommend both of them. Thank you again for your time. For those of us who have joined us today, stay with us.
Thank you for Katie. Thank you for Katie.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely, Katie. Thank you so very much for coordinating all of this.
All right.
Yes, we appreciate both of you for sure.
Yes, thank you.
And those of you who have joined us, if you check the schedule, we still have more going on all day today. So stay with us and tune in when you can. Dr. Eger, thank you. Katie, thank you so much.
Thanks. Take care.